Hello scrapbook friends, this is Michele Sizemore, advisor with Creative Memories. Today you'll learn how to make this patriotic layout. I use the American Blast collection for the paper and for this flag. And I used red, light blue, and blue cardstock. You can use like darker jewel tone colors like cranberry and navy, or you could use more like a royal and a brighter red and a lighter blue. It's up to you what you use. Either of them would work. I'm going to use a little bit lighter on the layout that I show you, but this was using the darker colors. I use the border tools that come with the custom cutting system. They're fairly new. And I use the Festive Bursts border maker cartridge. So let's set that aside and get started with the custom cutting system. I'm first going to cut a piece of red. Now for this one, I'm using the Firecracker Shimmer red paper. For the other one, I used more of a bright red cardstock. I am going to start at this 1-inch line right here on my mat, and I'm going to line it all the way at the top. That's important to get the look that I'm going for. I want these to look like streamers or ribbons that kind of go fat, skinny, kind of like they're just wavy. And so that's what I'm going to do with this. So line it up at the 1-inch mark all the way at the top. And we're going to cut just as close to the edge as we can without getting off of the cardstock. Okay, now I'm going to keep this for another border. Now I'm going to move this over. It was at the 1-inch mark, so now I'm going to put it on this far right side, which means it was 1 inch from where it was originally, but go all the way down. So go over to the right 1 inch, and then go all the way down, and then line your outer swells up with that far right bold line. And you can make this as fat or as skinny as you want. I am going to put this at the 1-inch mark so that, okay, so my children went to University of Tennessee, so the Power Tee was kind of a big deal for them. This makes me think of a Power Tee, the top of this. So I use different parts of this as my sight lines for cutting. I'm going to use this innermost part right here that protrudes down, the inside edge of it, as my sight line. And I'm going to line that up with the 1-inch mark here on my mat. So the inner part of that T, Power Tee, is lined up there. And now I'm going to cut it, and I think it's going to be exactly what I want. So I'm going to do that. Yep, it's very good. So I would do the same thing with a darker blue and a lighter blue. So I have all 3 colors, and then I'm just going to sort of talk you through the rest. I would mount those down with my repositionable tape runner, and as you can see, I sort of layered them on top of each other so they look kind of like they overlap in places. That's completely up to you how you do that. You know, I could put this on top. I could put this blue on top. I could put the navy on top, whatever you like. And then you sprinkle this firecracker, what do they call, the Festive Bursts around. Now let me show you how to get the Festive Bursts. This is the border maker system, and I have the Festive Burst cartridge in here. So I'm just going to take a piece of this red cardstock and cut a row of Festive Bursts. I would do the same thing. I would do red, like a royal blue, and a silver glitter. Now, I got this silver glitter from somewhere else. We don't sell it at Creative Memories, but I did make sure it's acid-free, fade-proof, waterproof, to make sure it's photo-safe. Because everything you get from Creative Memories is photo-safe, but I wanted to make sure of that since I bought it from another source. And I really liked it. Okay, so you just put your cardstock in here, and then you line it up at the top and the sides with this tray. Close it. Put your tray underneath and pop it in place. You're going to put your cardstock right here. And you start closest to you and your notches match up. So I'm going to punch, pull it out just a little bit, plop it back in place so the notches match up. When these notches match up, it means everything fits together underneath, sort of like a puzzle. Pull it out, plop it in, and then I'm just going to finish it the same way. So now I have my row, and I can use that on another page because I'm not going to use that on this page. What I'm going to use is these little scraps that fall out. I've already punched some blue and silver, so I'm just going to scoop these into my tray. Okay, and move all of that aside. And then I would just take my repositionable tape runner, and I would use a silicone mat, and I would take my little pieces. Now I think I didn't use these bigger pieces. I could have, but I chose to use these smaller ones. I'm going to flip it over and just put some repositionable tape runner on the back. And I would stick it where I want it to go on my page. So I did that with all of those. And this flag was actually part of this paper. And let me see if I can find that piece of paper. Yeah. So I just cut the flag out. You could do it with your trimmer or scissors, and just mounted that there. And then I used red and blue to map my photos. So this shows you the photo sizes if you want to jot down those measurements or take a screenshot. You can see the photo measurements. Up here, these are all 4x4 photos. These are 4x6 photos, pretend photos. And then so I cut my mats 1/4 inch bigger than my photos. So let's take a pretend photo here. That's 4x6. Let me find one. Okay, so here's a 4x6. And if I wanted to cut a mat for that, I would take my trimmer and I would cut 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So it would end up 1/4 inch bigger than my photo. So I would line it up with the line right here to say 4 1/4 and make sure it's straight all the way down. This is to get my mat. And then I would flip it one way to the left and line it up with 6 1/4. Looking at my grid line right there and make sure it's straight. And then that would be the perfect size to mat my photo. And like that. I like a skinny mat. If you like a fatter mat, you could certainly do that. And then these are all 4x4, so the mats were 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So, and I want to say, at the time of this video, they did recently just sell out of the American Blast collection, but I have a lot of it at home, and I'll put my email address and my website link at the bottom in the instructions for the video, and you can reach me there if you want to order some of that. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.